We are all living in Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is one of the four ages: Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is the age of darkness, or age of steel. We see how everything is made out of steel. In this age of Kali, all religious principles have deteriorated. Very few pure devotees of the Lord on the planet and who are maintaining pure religious principles. Everything becomes perverted and aborted by speculations and deviations. So we are all experiencing life in Kali Yuga. McDonald's, KFC. Now we see how many hundreds of thousands of Hindus, unfortunately, want to do the in thing, so they're converting to KFC and McDonald's for social reasons. They want to look good to their non-devotee friends, and so they go there and they eat meat also now in increasing numbers, are forsaking vegetarianism. But also wine drinking is a common thing, and sex outside of marriage. Even in the early 1960s, there was still some morality left. Of course, the primary purveyor of immorality is the good old United States of America, where I come from. And their illicit sex or sex outside of marriage is now it's a daily way of life for millions of people. But in the 1960s, there was still some religious and moral restriction in the United States. For example, living unmarried with a partner was referred to by the Christians as living in sin. So they knew it was not proper. Now even so many millions of Christians, they are having extramarital affairs, and they're having boyfriend, girlfriend, not bothering to get married, etc. So in Kali Yuga, the lifestyle is basically on sinful or inauspicious activities which deviate from the scripture. People do not know what is to be done, what is not to be done. Even the innocent glance, they may be perfectly nice people, but we accept that there are many millions of very nice non-vegetarian people, but unfortunately they are in ignorance, avidya, and so they don't know what is to be done and what is not to be done unless they can take instruction from enlightened persons or those who are representing enlightened acharyas or pure saints. They cannot understand. So Kali Yuga is the darkest of the four ages, and we see in our daily life terrorism, rape, child pornography, children being sold into slavery. Those who think that life today is just fine, or that this society that we have today is the most advanced society in the history of the planet. This is very, very false propaganda, very false propaganda. Because formerly such drug addiction was not a problem until it started amplifying around the 1960s, and now it's a plague all over the world. And the number of thieves is greater than ever before. The amount of cheating in business is greater than ever before. These are all symptoms of Kali Yuga, especially the meat eating, and even by persons garbed as religious. As we mentioned, the Christians we accept as bona fide religion, but unfortunately, no matter how high the Christian priest may be in the church, nevertheless, their pious activities and religious activities are spoiled by meat eating, and they will have to suffer reactions for that. No matter how highly placed they are. Srila Prabhupada met with the cardinal. Cardinal is very highly placed in the Catholic Church, and the cardinal was arguing, and Prabhupada always said, your scripture says, thou shalt not kill. Why are you killing the innocent animals? So this cardinal, speaking French with a strong, he was speaking English, but he had a strong French accent. Said, he's for food, actually made a fool out of himself. But there are plenty of vegetarian, millions and millions of vegetarians around the world who are perfectly healthy. For example, everyone should know, and most people don't know, the world champion wrestler is an Indian vegetarian, and he's a devotee, he's a Vaishnava also, he's an ISKCON-related devotee. So this idea that vegetarians must be weaklings is complete mythology. So living in Kali Yuga, I have described some of the major symptoms: animal slaughter, no mercy. We see, sometimes the terrorists have released films where the victim is, they have a knife to the throat of the victim as the cameras roll, and the victim says, oh, please, please, my wife, my children, and they just laugh and cut his throat. These are the type of things that are symptoms of Kali Yuga. Previously, pure religious principles were upheld by the kings and the Kshatriya class, were the enforcers. Like the police today are supposed to be the enforcers of law. So this Kali Yuga is full of bad qualities that we are experiencing it every day. Some people, who see this video may have been victims of robbery. So many hundreds of thousands or more of women are victims of rape. Children are being sold into slavery around the world. There's so much abuse and exploitation by crooked politicians, whereas the people are known as praja. They are citizens of the kingdom, and the leaders are supposed to take care of the praja, or the citizenry, are supposed to be considered like children that have to be maintained and protected by the father. So similarly, human society is supposed to be protected by the politicians. But what we find, the opposite, the vast majority of politicians around the world are exploiting the common people, taking their money and raising their salaries. For example, in the United States, they talk about budget cutbacks and how to reduce spending for social benefit programs, but at the same time, the politicians raise their own salary. Therefore, this is known as the age of hypocrisy. Kali Yuga is also known as the age of hypocrisy. The political leaders are raising their salaries, very, very high salaries, and at the same time they're making budget cutbacks of social benefit to poor people and even to the middle class. So in this way, everything has become so degraded. We stand for trying to revive pure religious principles, Sanatana Dharma. Hare Krishna.